Hello, happy people. This is our second lesson this week for Algebra 1. We're in the Exponents chapter. So yesterday, we talked about the meaning of exponents, and we wrote exponents. We wrote powers out as multiplication, and we wrote multiplication as powers. So today, we're going to use both of those skills to multiply exponents. So here are the 3 steps we are going to use to multiply exponents. I'm going to pause so you can pause the video at this time and write these 3 steps down in your notebook. All right, so the 3 steps we're going to use, we're going to write any power we have out in multiplication. And then we're going to take that multiplication and we're going to turn it back into a bigger power or a set of powers, depending on how many bases we have. And if we have any powers that have integer bases or numbers as bases, we're going to simplify them. Like 2 cubed equals 8, so 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. If we have any number to a power, we can figure out what that number is. So we're going to simplify that. All right, so the rest of the video should just be going through a few examples. And our first example is x to the 6th times x squared. So our first step, remember, is to change any of our powers to multiplication. So I'm going to start with x to the 6th. That means to take x times itself 6 times. So I'm going to write that out. All right. And the power I'm multiplying by is x squared. So that means to take x times itself twice. So now that I have my multiplication all written out, I see I have one base, which is x, and x is being multiplied by itself. How many times? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to get x to the 8th power, and so x to the 6th times x squared will get me x to the 8th. All right, our second example is w squared to the 3rd power. So I'm going to start by writing this w squared times itself. How many times? 3 times. So I have w squared times w squared times w squared. And I'm not done writing out this multiplication because, as you can see, I can still have 3 powers that have exponents bigger than 1. So I'm going to write those out. So w squared means to take w times w. And so does this w squared. And so does the 3rd w squared. So now again, we have one base being multiplied multiple times, and our base is w. And how many times is it being multiplied by itself? That is 6 times. So I'm going to get w to the 6th power. So w squared to the 3rd power gets me w to the 6th. All right, our third example, we're going to add another base in. So we have x squared times y to the 4th power. So if our problem starts with 2 different bases, there's no way to combine them. So our answer is going to have 2 different bases. So just like last time, I'm going to write what's in my parentheses multiplied by itself this number of times. So in this case, I have x squared times y times x squared times y times x squared times y times x squared times y. I'm not done writing out the multiplication yet because I still have powers that are bigger than 1. So I can write each x squared as x times x. So all 4 of those are going to turn to x times y. So like I said before, when we have 2 different bases, there's no way to combine our x's and our y's. So our answer is going to have an x and y. So what we're going to do, we're going to count the number of x's we have being multiplied by each other. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that is x to the 8th power. And how many y's are we multiplying together? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to multiply that times y to the 4th. And we technically do not need the multiplication dot in between to show multiplication, just like if we had 2y to the fourth, x to the eighth times y to the fourth can be written as x to the eighth, y to the fourth. And that is our answer for this problem. X squared y to the fourth power gives me x to the eighth, y to the fourth. All right, last example, we have 3z squared cubed. Again, we have two different bases, so our answer is going to have two different bases. But we're going to start with writing what's in the parentheses, multiplying it by the exponent number of times. So I'm going to have 3z squared times 3z squared times 3z squared. And again, I'm not quite done writing out this as multiplication because I have squareds. So I can write each of those squares as z times z. All right. So now that I've done that, I have all of my multiplication written out. So I'm going to count the number of threes I have. I have 3 times 3 times 3, which is 3 cubed. And I have how many z's being multiplied by each other? That is 6. So I'll get 3 cubed times z to the 6th. Since we know what 3 cubed is, 3 times 3 times 3 is a number. And 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. Z to the 6th. So that will be our answer. If you can't do 3 times 3 times 3 in your head, you're going to go ahead and put it in a calculator. You're going to use the caret button. So there's a button above the division symbol that looks like that. And so you're going to put 3 caret 3 and hit enter. If you're using an online calculator, you might be looking for like a little power. Sometimes I know the one on the calculator looks like x to the a or something like that. That would do a power for you. But since we know what 3 cubed is, we're going to actually plug that in to get 27. So our answer for 3z squared cubed is 27z to the 6th. All right, so that's all I have for you today. I hope you are all happy. I hope you are all healthy, and I hope you all have a great day.